And if there's no objections from the council members, well, why don't we first call will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Chris DeCamp. Here. Councilmember John Hagenow. Councilmember Carol Kerr. Here. Councilmember Aaron Parmet. Councilmember Dan Sullivan.
Here.
Councilor Mayor Ken Riley.
Present.
There are 5 members present.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry.
What? No.
There's somebody you'd missed.
Who am I missing?
No.
There's
4.
Oh, there's only 6 of us total now.
Yeah, members.
There's 4 present.
Present. 4 present. Sorry.
Present.
Thank you.
I'm confused.
All right. Where we're starting to go is I've been asked if the council would be okay with moving the discussion on the SCTV programming up to the front for the first item because of a conflict that Gabby has. Any objections to that? No. Should be a relatively short one. So with that, we'll have communications to council. Is there anyone present today that would like to speak to council on any topic that we're going to discuss on the work session agenda? Anyone online?
No one's raising their hand.
All right. With that, I'll declare communications to council over, and we will have that first item that I mentioned, the SCTV programming. I'll turn it over to the town manager.
And I'm going to ask Gabby Abell, our clerk pro tem, admin, marketing guru, to come up and just give you a brief outline of what's happening with SCTV.
Can everybody hear me if I'm back here? Everyone hear me okay? Okay, wonderful. Summit County Television, SCTV, has provided government and educational access programming since 2004, and their mission is to deliver relevant and useful information so residents can have insight in local decision making. We have been given an amazing opportunity from SCTV to do programming, and I would love and appreciate you all to sign up. Dan participated with me. I wrote him a script. It went really well. So this is just so you're all aware that this is happening, and then I will be sending up a sign out sheet so you guys can participate.
And what kind of things will?
So we'll talk about updates from council, upcoming events, and then anything that is coming up for you all as far as council, and you're welcome to write whatever you would like. If there's something you want me to write into your script, I'm happy to do that. And then upcoming events as far as marketing. So for example, 4th of July, Town Cleanup Day, those types of community events that we would like the public to be aware of. We would like to do these events quarterly, but can request additional programming, which is also a wonderful opportunity. So when we have upcoming events that we want to get the word out about, we are welcome to reach out and ask for more opportunities on SCTV. Any questions?
How long are these sessions?
A grand total of 8 minutes, max. So it all goes pretty quickly. It doesn't take too much time out of anybody's day. SCTV has been very flexible with scheduling, so you all can just let me know when works best for you. We'll probably be doing the other one in about 3 to 4 months, depending. And again, open to any ideas. If there's something you really want to get the word out about, just let me know and we can schedule a time as well.
Comment. I just want to comment that on SCTV, it's under the Dillon, but they've been showing our board meeting. But it's under Dillon for some
I'll
reason.
make note of that, right? Thank you for letting me know.
So Gabby, how does this work? Do we go to some kind of production studios? Do they bring the camera here?
They put a mic on you, you talk for 4 to 8 minutes, and it's the us.
I looked at the programming that they're advertising, and it seems to be mostly council meetings. Are other towns doing these 8-minute
It used to. Now it seems like, and I haven't watched too many of the other ones. From what I saw, it seems like it was routine. And then they started to kind of space them out a bit more, which is why we thought quarterly would be better. That way we always have something to do with.
So is any other town doing quarterly?
I believe so, but I can definitely check into that and confirm. Some other towns were actually doing after every single council meeting. So we're spacing it out more than that.
And currently our council meetings are showing up on our website, yeah?
They are on our website from our YouTube channel, and they're broadcasted from there. So we have a YouTube channel, and then on the website, it's included in our YouTube channel.
So the website links us to the YouTube channel.
What does the council members think?
My only recommendation, make sure you take the microphone off before you leave. It can get embarrassing. Albert was.
I think it's I'll tell you the same thing I said the last time. I think this is out of step with what the town council said we wanted to be, a digitally advanced 21st century town government that uses the website, uses digital means, and this is not that. It's additional work for our clerk, our assistant clerk, it's additional expectations for council members.
Now, this would be voluntary though. So if you didn't want to participate, you wouldn't have to.
Exactly. It is voluntary, but this is, it is, SCTV's, it's aligned with their mission. They're trying to reach more people. Not everybody goes on their computer and searches each time on YouTube, but sometimes SCTV will be on their background. This is a great way to reach more of the public.
Reach people who have it on in the background.
Right.
How much are we paying for this again? For this
20,
opportunity?
well, and it rebroadcasts these two, and you can't get past the 1,500 views a month. I mean, it's 20% of our franchise fees. I think it's 20%, which is approximately $17,000.
20%. So we get franchise fees of
From Comcast.
for like 75,000 a year.
Yes.
So some of this we're giving back to SCTV.
Well, we're using it to reach out more people with.
I didn't ask that. So is this a contract we have? And is it
Yeah, we
is
can
there
get out
a
of it.
contract basis, like 1
Yeah.
year, 6 months, what?
We can get out of it anytime. Yeah.
So, okay, so it's a service they're offering, and
Yeah.
we said we thought we were interested. Okay.
Yes.
Are we already paying?
Yes.
And this came before council one time before, and we said yes.
What was the cost again?
Approximately 17,000, 15 to 17. I can have the exact number for you.
And for that, we get our council meetings rebroadcast over Comcast network. And an opportunity if we want to participate in these mini sessions.
There was a comment in the financial part about how Dylan was paying our fee. What was that about? It said Town of Dylan.
No, our council meetings were being broadcast under the.
It's under the financials part. I'll ask them. Okay, never mind.
Okay, so still about SCTV? Or just the financials?
I'll ask during the financials.
Okay, so it's the financials. I'm trying to prepare here.
I guess my view is I would recommend we try it for a year and then we do a bit of a review of our community and find out who's looked at it.
Yeah.
You know, has this really reached other people beyond the tools that we're using already?
And if we get something posted on there, which apparently our council meetings are already posted erroneously, I would ask that we actually insert that into our updates that we send out, because I think most people would never even think about looking there.
And that would be my comment, is to build on the SEO, search engine optimizing of this to get the full trial. We need to spread it out.
Let them know it's out there. And then a year later or 6 months later, when we ask again, we'll find out. And we won't have to say, oh, well, they didn't watch because they didn't know. So.
Well, I'm not sure. I believe this is just a channel on Comcast network. They distribute them, right?
Correct. I don't ever watch other meetings. I am aware of their broadcasts as I'm going through the guide.
Yeah. And I don't know if they track those type of things. It's not like an internet.
They do.
They track.
Of course they do. But we want to track. We want to ask our people at a certain point, have any of you watched it? Let us know what you liked.
It would be nice to know what they're tracking, if they are tracking, how many views they're getting.
Yeah, they won't be our people that they can pinpoint.
Yeah, no,
It'll be any tourist, anybody in the,
We'll use,
anywhere.
They can just track the number of views,
Views, yeah.
period, throughout the county.
we'll look at both.
Throughout the Comcast region. They actually are in Winter Park too.
Could we make a note to remind ourselves to poll quarterly or
Annually.
Annually.
Okay.
I'm sure SCTV is tracking regularly.
They don't have regular staff. It's, they put the report together annually.
Only?
Wow.
Can I get all those who would like to participate for the next year, and we'll have it be voluntary, to whether you're part of that or not, put your thumb up. Those who wouldn't, then we're in for a year. So send up the signups. Anything else on SCTV? The next item, we'll go back to the start of the agenda. Summit Fire and EMS.
Good afternoon. My name is Jay Nelson. I'm the Chief Executive Officer and Fire Marshal for Red, White, and Blue Fire, so Summit Fire's neighboring fire district. I'm here this evening along with staff to talk to you about wildfire, but I want to explain why I'm here when you have Summit Fire. Summit Fire's going through a transition. Their fire marshal had resigned in February, and with that resignation, I offered to step up and help guide some of these meetings as we move into wildfire season, code adoption, all of those things that are going on in the community right now. So I offered to assist Summit Fire with that. So I'm here tonight helping them along with this process. Also along with me is Brandon McBride, who's a wildfire specialist. Tosh Schwarzkopf, who's a fire inspector. In particular, she's the fire inspector assigned to the Keystone region. And then Kim McDonald, who is one of the retired fire marshals from Summit Fire and EMS. But he is now working for the Division of Fire Prevention and Control as a wildfire educator, in particular with the Resiliency Code. So this afternoon, we want to talk to you and provide some information on fire danger and how the fire danger is determined within Summit County, how we go in and out of restrictions, what the wildfire outlook is for the community moving into the summer, and then talk to you about resilience, the Wildfire Resiliency Code, which is on your agenda for adoption this evening, to see if there's any questions we can answer on that. So with that said, I'm going to turn this over. We're going to kind of tag team this, but Brandon will start off with the fire danger.
Thank you all for having us. I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you a few things. Let's see here. So this is an internal SharePoint website that Summit Fire and EMS uses. Once we get deeper into wildland season, we reference this on a shift basis. So there's A, B, and C shifts. We go through this and we have 4 duty officers. I'm one of them for wildland specifically. And we brief our crews on this at the beginning of each one of their shifts. So you can see I pulled up some tabs here. Here's some of the stuff that we look at. This is a little matrix. It's really easy to look at. You can see some of the colors on there. It's got humidity, wind direction, temperatures, cloud cover, precipitation, and that gives us 5 days worth of what we're looking at. And then we get into our weather forecast. This is just an example. This would cover like today and the next couple of days, right? And these are put out by the National Weather Service. They're specific to wildfire, and they're extremely helpful in our decision-making processes. For the outlook, we look at these. I'm going to pull up the 3 to 4 week outlooks. So for the next 3 to 4 weeks in this, and it shows the entire nation, you can see Colorado is there right where equal chances is written over it. So that means that over the next 3 to 4 weeks that Colorado is looking at average temperatures, expected, nothing below, nothing above. And for precipitation, the green is that we're leaning above. Now, when we look at these, there's a bunch of different options in here. There's the 6 to 10 day outlook, 8 to 14. We've got 1 month, 3 month. The ones that we were showing at all of our outreach meetings that we did over the last couple of weeks were these, not that one. They were there we go, 3 month outlooks. And so what everybody saw is that over the next 3 months, it looks like our temperature is supposed to be above average and our precipitation is looking below average. Now that doesn't mean necessarily that every single day over those next 3 months is going to be worse than what it should be. As you can see right now, it's snowing and it's cool out, right? And we're within this outlook that says that it's going to be warmer and drier. So it's not always quite true, right? It's just a rough idea. These are also looking at the restrictions stuff. This is all the information that we look at for restrictions. This is a weather station at Soda Creek. You can see the ERC value. There's also on this page, there will be the burn index. And so that's the science that we look at for how we're going to make our decisions looking for restrictions, right? You guys see some of the handouts with the Smokies on them. You want to pull those out? That's the basics of, I'm sure you've seen our signs around the county. We put one up in Keystone, Frisco, one goes in Copper. They're at all of our fire stations. So that's the risk, right? That's what the potential for dry fuels, lightning, human starts, that's the risk level. And that will help determine our stages of restrictions, if that makes sense. Here is an ERC card. So that's energy release component. Again, this is all science-driven data. You can see the bottom one here. So this is a shoulder season card. We have cards for different times of the season, right? This shows in Summit County, some of the riskier times are actually right around this time of year and then towards fall. Because once the plants all green up and we get the monsoonal moisture through the summer, the risk actually isn't terribly high if it's going the way that it's supposed to be going. So these, you can see there's a couple fires on here. There's the Kinney fire, there's the Kaiser Creek fire, and then it also speaks about the East Troublesome fire over here on the right. And what this shows us, this just gives us an example of what the ERCs were at during large fires historically. So we can look at these on a daily basis. We can look at the actual energy release component that is being shown to us for the day or the week or the month and say, do we think that this week, if somebody let their campfire go, that it would be potentially catastrophic? Yes or no? And that's what helps us make our decisions on fire restrictions, risk level, responses, all sorts of different things. That's what I have for you guys for outlook and a little bit about the risk levels. Do you have any questions for me?
What's the current risk?
So currently looking at for the outlook. Is that what you're asking about? The outlook?
For today?
What's the fire danger level?
Today we don't even have one up, right? We haven't decided a fire danger level yet. So we're not yet into a point of the year that it is the right time for us to be making those decisions. We do those decisions alongside with Red, White, and Blue. So it's Summer Fire, Red, White, and Blue, the Sheriff's Office, the Forest Service. We all speak multiple times a week once we do start doing those conversations, which typically will start happening next month. We have considered doing them sooner. But yeah, those right now, we don't have a high fire risk.
But if I look at a sign, what would the sign say?
The sign would show what you have in front of you, those smokies, and it's got the green, yellow, red.
Right. So what would it be today?
Today, it would be green if we were setting them up.
It would be low.
Low, yes. But like I said, we haven't even decided to start putting them out because we don't even want to say that it's low. Right now, it's just not even.
It's low when it's on your sign.
When it's on the sign, yes.
It's on your sign today.
We don't have any of the signs out yet. Yes, we haven't even put the signs out.
Right.
Other questions?
Any other questions?
I'll let Chief talk a little bit more about restrictions and code.
Thank you. So as Brandon talked about, that energy release component. So that energy release component is how combustible that material is. And we look at different fuel types. So we're looking at fine fuels, your grasses, pine needles, those kind of fine fuels, all the way up to the dead wood that's sitting in the forest. And that's used to determine what that energy release component is. So as that energy release component goes up, that means that fuel's more volatile to having a fire. So one of the handouts that you have is this one about fire restrictions. And we have two stages of fire restrictions. We have stage 1 fire restrictions and stage 2 fire restrictions. Stage 1 fire restrictions remove fire from the backcountry. So from the I always mess up on the term, but so from our non-established campgrounds. So the campgrounds around the lake are the established campgrounds. So it does not allow for fire under stage 1 restrictions at nothing that is not in one of those campgrounds. So if you're camping up Montezuma, anywhere in Summit County that does not have an established fire ring that is the Forest Service campground, it prohibits campfires in those locations. What's interesting in Summit County is that we have, through the fire code, created basically stage 1 fire restrictions in all the towns and unincorporated Summit County lands through the fire code, in that we require that anybody that's having a backyard campfire have a permit. So it does not affect what's in the U.S. Forest Service, but it affects what's in the municipalities and unincorporated Summit County. So that restricts fires to begin with. Secondarily, the other items in stage 1 restrictions are in the fire code as well. So chainsaws have to have spark arresters. The chainsaw user needs to have some method of being able to extinguish a fire. Shovel, fire extinguisher, bucket of water. Requires that weed whackers, lawnmowers all have spark arresters that are built into the muffler. Those all come standard when you go buy that equipment. A lot of times folks modify that, but it does require that be in place. So stage 1 restrictions, we're kind of already there without calling it stage 1 restrictions. We just have to bring the forest along with us. And that's why it's really important when we talk about fire restrictions that we are not doing things without bringing our partners along. And that's the county and the Forest Service. The county is very unique in fire restrictions because by statute, the county has to follow the science. So the county can't just go in and out of fire restrictions like home rule city or home rule town can. So their hands are kind of tied. So they have to follow what we're going to talk about here, along with the Forest Service. So the Forest Service, a lot of this comes from the Forest Service and is in the operating plan, which is a agreement that we all operate under, the fire districts, the sheriff, and the county all operate under for how we handle wildfire. It's really because the sheriff is the fire warden. So when the fire becomes outside of our control, it gets turned over to the sheriff by statute. The sheriff then determines what the county is able to do or the town is able to do. So they'd be working with your local law enforcement on figuring that out. Thus, in turn, when the sheriff can't control it any longer, it goes to the state. And when the state can't control it, then it goes to the federal government. So it escalates that way. So as we were talking about that energy release component, when you look at that graph that Brandon had shown, when we hit the 90th, between the 90th and 96th percentile, and I like to think of it as if you have 100 matches and you start throwing them out, 90 of them are probably going to start something on fire. That's how I like to look at the energy release component. That's how we tell how dry things are. So when we hit that for 5 days, and we have high human caused risk, which to me, that's a kind of gray area. We look at the fires that have gone on throughout the White River National Forest and determine that. I always think that we are in a high fire or high human caused fire risk area just because of our visitation. But we look at the fires that have gone on that have been human caused. So that can be abandoned campfires, that could be intentional sets by somebody, those kind of things. We also look at the live fuel moisture. So we look at what that Soda Creek station is showing. Is that Soda Creek station, are we seeing seasonal or unseasonably dry conditions of the fuel? What's going on there? So that's looked at. And then we look at what the weather is going to be. Are we hot, dry, windy for the next 7 days? If all of those factors are in place, then we go into stage 1 restrictions. And so that's a coordinated effort, again, between the U.S. Forest Service, the county, and the towns. As Brandon had talked about, we have 3 phone calls a week that we're talking fire restrictions, fire danger. The first one is on a Monday. So the Forest Service puts out information, usually Monday midday, that's giving us information from the weather stations, what the National Weather Service is showing that the weather is going to be, where we're at with the energy release component or the ERCs, and what the predicted fuel moisture is moving forward. So that happens Monday. We as a community, so when I say community, that typically is the police chiefs, the sheriff, the 2 fire districts, the U.S. Forest Service, so Dillon Ranger District, and then the Upper Colorado River group, which is the wildfire group that spans BLM, Forest Service land, across the White River National Forest. So we bring everybody to the table. We do a call, discuss where we are as a community, what we feel where we need to be. Do we need to go on restrictions or not based off the data that's been provided? Tuesday morning, there's a forest-wide call. So that's all of the counties within the White River National Forest. So we all jump on a call, and that's where we start determining who's going into restrictions, who's not going into restrictions, or who may be coming out of restrictions. So that happens Tuesday. Most of the time when we go into restrictions at midnight on Friday, and that allows the forest time to go post at all of the forest entrances of going into restrictions. And so that's why there's that little bit of delay between the Tuesday and when we go into restrictions, is so that everybody knows we can get the information out from a public messaging standpoint. And then usually Thursday, there's another call that's where we talk about the fire danger that Brandon also talked about, of what are we seeing with the fire danger? So the difference between restrictions and the fire danger is more of a point in time where we're at wildfire danger-wise point in time. So is that high, low, moderate, very high, extreme? That's really determined. We try to do that going into the weekend so that, again, that information is being made public, but also we know that the weekend visitors are where we have the boost in population. So we want to have that done and not also yo-yoing. We've found that if we're changing it every day, the fire danger, it wears the community out. So we try to do that once a week and use where we're at and what the predictive modeling is telling us. Versus fire restrictions is all looking at historic data and what the future looks like weather-wise. So point in time is the fire danger. That fire restriction is looking more long-term. Again, we don't want to go into fire restrictions and a week later have to come out of fire restrictions because we're not hitting the data points, or it's snowing, or the monsoons have come in and we're getting more rain than we know what to do with every afternoon. Again, it creates some mismessaging of are we in, are we out? So we try to really look at that long-term forecast to ensure that when we go into restrictions, we're going to be there for a while. So I also talked about stage 2 restrictions. So stage 1 really prohibits you from having a fire in the backcountry. Stage 2 restrictions across the county make it so you can't have a backyard campfire at your home, in an established campground, or in the forest. That's the big difference between stage 1 and stage 2 is campfires go away. At homes, that also includes charcoal grills, pellet smokers, anything that burns some sort of fuel other than propane or natural gas because it has an on-off switch. So on-off switch is still allowed under stage 2, but other avenues utilizing firewood, pellets, or charcoal are prohibited. Stage 3 is where the whole forest completely shuts down. And so that is as we hit that 100% ERC level, is when they start looking and having discussions about starting the forest down. So that's going and shutting all the forest gates, those aspects of it. In Summit County, we've never hit that stage 3. We buffer around that stage 1, stage 2 area. So then as we look at how we come out, so we're talking those fuels at being in 90 to 97% of the stage 1 and stage 2. To come out, those fuels really have to come back to 75%. So the ERCs have to be 75% or below. Human caused risk is moderate or less over 14 days. Live fuel moistures are above historic threshold. So fuels are starting to hold a lot of moisture, in that the forecast that we're going to be in moderate to low fire conditions for the next 30 days. So once we enter restrictions, it's a lot harder to come back out of restrictions. And so once all those elements are met, then we'll come out of restrictions with the forest, with the county, with our partners. So, I think the biggest takeaway for us is that as we have that restrictions discussion, we really have to be in lockstep together because we need the forest to participate, the county to participate, and the towns, so that we are truly protecting our communities through the restrictions. I would like to note, most of our wildfire starts are not on private property. They're not within our municipalities or the county. They're in the forest. And so by going into restrictions as a community, you're really not preventing that forest use and where the fires are happening in the forest. So any questions on restrictions?
Who makes the decision for unincorporated Summit County to go into a fire restriction?
So who makes that? The sheriff makes that recommendation to the county commissioners. And then the county commissioners then go into restrictions.
Which is the same process basically that the home rule towns like Keystone have.
Yep. The only difference is you don't have to necessarily follow the data statutorily that the county has
I
to.
understand.
Yeah.
Carol?
Your experience shows, what can towns do that would help this entire process in any way?
The fire restriction process or limiting the risk? Okay. I think that's having the conversations, bringing in, I would say the experts like Brandon, hosting community meetings, as you do community events, allowing them to set up tables to really talk about mitigation. What's most important is not necessarily being in these restrictions, if you will. What's important is that our homeowners and guests are prepared if something happens. And that's really focusing on that defensible space, that home ignition zone, that 0 to 5 feet around the home, getting rid of the dead, dying, disease materials that are on properties and focusing on that. But granting the fire district's space, we want to be partners with you, be out in your community, be visible at events, and really help answer those questions and provide the tools to the community through your help.
I want to thank you all for putting on those community meetings. They were great, and I'm very pleased that our staff has linked our wildfire preparation site on our website to your fire prevention tips. So
that's excellent, and thank you for bringing that up. So one piece of what we're working on wildfire-wise is a one-stop shop. Where's one place that we can send our citizens, our guests that have questions? And we're working with the county right now. So the public information group across the county is all working together to create a space on the county's website that everybody can link to that has wildfire mitigation tips, that'll have evacuation information. And most importantly, the Office of Emergency Management has really worked with Everbridge, so SC Alert, as we all know it. Everbridge is the backbone of that. They've worked together to allow for people to sign up for specific date ranges of notifications. So we're trying to get the lodging community highly involved so that there's information that people can get emergency messages while they're visiting the community and put in their specific date ranges. So that's all they're getting messages on. So that's a piece that we're looking at, and how do we roll that out? I understand the hesitations because it shows that there's risk in the community. But I think, if people want more education, that's a way for them to get it.
I think if you listen to even one day of any Denver-based weather report, this is not a surprise.
Yeah. So
is there anything we can do with respect to our visitors and making them more aware?
I think, yes, I will get emergency management in touch with some of these things that they're trying to roll out, these tools that they're trying to roll out. I know Rec Tourism Office we've been working directly with, and they're actually starting to put information in the packets that are going out, or the email messages that are going out to folks for their visits, providing information about being wildfire aware while they're in the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you. You just answered a few of my questions. So you said a while when you want to move into a restriction, you want it to be a while, and then you mentioned 30 days. So I was just wondering if that is the general while that you were speaking of.
No, that while could be 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what we're seeing. That's again, looking at those predictive models. We typically don't try to go into restrictions for a week. So if we're going into restrictions, because it's so hard to come out of restrictions, that's where I say we're going to be in it for a while.
Very good. And then you just answered what you do in case, or what you're looking to do even more efficiently in case you do need to change course.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this may not be in your bailiwick, but when can we expect a new fire manager to be in place at Summit?
So for a fire marshal?
Marshall,
Yeah. So it's a great question.
okay. In that case, I won't pin you down, but who's number two right now? Who's the acting?
So number 2 is Erin Myers right now.
Okay.
And Megan Layfield. So they're kind of splitting that role. Erin's handling a lot of the plan review and permitting. Megan's handling the inspection side, right? And we're navigating. So it's a great opportunity for us. The fire districts are always looking at how we can improve and maybe consolidate some services. And so we're looking as we go through this of whether or not it makes sense to consolidate services and have one fire marshal for the county that then has staffs in both districts. And the idea behind that is to really create the same services for the contractors and the communities between both agencies. So yeah, more to come on that, but that's a piece that we're looking at as we go through this transition period and look at opportunities.
Other questions? Thank you.
Talk about resiliency code.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Unless you're done.
No.
Unless you're tired of listening to me. So the wildfire resiliency code. So this is a statewide code that all jurisdictions, and when I say all jurisdictions, towns, counties, fire districts are all required to adopt, and then determine enforcement from there. The code was set to be adopted by April 1st statutorily. There was a lot of hoopla right at the end of March about some legislative bills that were trying to get before the legislation to change all the dates and everything with that. My understanding, and put you on the spot here, Kevin, but really the state's looking for adoption and reporting by July 1st. Is that correct?
To the end of July.
Till the end of July, for communities. So working with the communities, and this is really what Kim's doing in the communities, is traveling out, giving education to councils, to groups across the state on what the resiliency code means and how to enact that within your communities. So you're going down the right path of adopting that. The county has adopted that. We're working on memorandums of understanding with the county right now of who's in what lane. And what I mean by that is the resiliency code really changes how we look at wildfire mitigation in our community by adding home hardening. Throughout Summit County, we have had basically resiliency code requirements that were defensible space already built into the residential building code. But they didn't really deal with the home hardening piece of sidings and decks. It only dealt with the roof and then the mitigation requirements around the house. So it's a little bit of a change for us. The county building department will be handling the home hardening section of that. That's all building materials, all building related. So we feel that that's the best lane for that to sit. The fire districts, we've done and been doing the mitigation or defensible space around the home. So we're going to continue in that lane. So really a whole lot doesn't change from what we've been doing. It's just where does it lie and what is required from our builders in that submittal. Really, that's a landscape plan now. And then on the building side, the architect is going to have to specifically call out the materials that they're going to be using for siding, for ventilation, grading, for gutters, for roof, and decking materials to make sure that they all comply with the code. The code, I think, has got a lot of gray area and that we're working on what does that mean to Summit County. How do we apply what we've been doing into what the code says so that it isn't a knee-jerk reaction because we've had to adopt this? And so the building officials are working on what do those materials look like. Requires that the materials be ASTM 10-minute burn tested. Well, the state of California does a 30-minute burn test on siding materials. And so they're talking about utilizing that as a source of opening up the materials list to more tested materials so that they can allow architects to have a little more design ability than just saying it's got to be cementous siding, you know, it's got to be this specific siding, this specific type of Trex. There's a lot of materials out there. California's been doing this for years. The manufacturers are used to, you know, manufacturing to these specifications. And California's got a great fire marshal's office that does testing just as well, if not better, than the national laboratories of UL, ASTME, those. So they're looking at how to fit that into the resiliency code as well, to expand the opportunities and not make it so restrictive for our community.
We actually heard from the Home Builders Association
Yes.
recommending that. I wasn't sure what happened in the meantime. Is the legislature looking at that still?
So
Do we
the legislature died in committee.
Okay.
That was going to postpone and create some additional rules for wildfire resilience. There's the Wildfire Resiliency Code Board, which is made up of different interest groups within the state. So fire districts, Division of Fire Prevention and Control, or I shouldn't say fire districts, but fire marshals, builders, designers, building officials, insurance industry, thank you, who did I miss? But they all meet as a code board. That's how the code was developed, was through this process. And so they hold monthly meetings, and during those meetings, there's a lot of discussion around changes to the code that need to happen. So that code will be updated every probably 3 years. And so they're already looking at what modifications need to be made into that next version of the code to really address some of these aspects of, you know, I always look at the code as Summit County doesn't fit the code box because the code is really developed for communities that are built on a block system with alleyways and front access. We don't have that in Summit County. We don't have that luxury. So we have to find how to modify that. And the resiliency code was really built as trying to put all of Colorado in the same box. And it doesn't work. And I think there's a lot of local control that needs to occur without giving up control of the code, if that makes sense. You know, the fear is if you allow for local change that you're going to minimize the code requirements, make the code lesser than what it is intended to. And I think we need to think of that differently is here's the minimum, but the minimum's got some wiggle room based off the community. You know, I think, you know, fire in the plains is much different in the grasslands with the wind than it is for us up here. So, any questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to come meet with you and provide some tools and education as we move into summer.
Just to add, Brandon came to my house this past week and did an assessment. It was great.
Awesome.
In fact, the town manager and I got an email this week from a member of an HOA that was interested in fact, they'll be contacting the fire district for some help in potentially the home evaluation.
And we've had a ton of folks from our meetings that we did the last couple of weeks. We've gotten many requests to do it, but we'll take more. We love doing it.
Like they're interested also in trying to become a Firewise HOA.
That's awesome.
And are you the right guys to work through for that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they can call the fire department phone number. They can apply on our website. There's many different ways to get that in, and we'll get to them as soon as we can.
We gave them the right advice.
Yep.
Go to you.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Again, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John, for scheduling this.
Next is High Country Conservation Center.
Okay, we had representatives of High Country Conservation Center here a couple months ago, talking about various programs that they offer and would like to cooperate with us on. And I unleashed Jess on that. So our town planner, Jess Hertzberg, is going to talk about some of these programs that we might want to participate in or might not. It's your call.
So there are really two considerations here. One is the extended producer responsibility, education and outreach, and the other is a sort of menu of options of energy and climate programs. The extended producer responsibility, I'll start with. I provided some background on that state legislation that kind of trickles down to we are eligible for reimbursement payments for recycling. That what we are eligible to use the reimbursement payments for is education and outreach around this new change to recycling in terms of the burden of cost being shifted from the consumers of packaged goods to the producers. There are many ways that these effects can take place. Some of it is just where money is and how that changes your ability to have a robust recycling program, but also in how producers make packaged goods for recycling. So there may be changes to how recycling happens, and that is why there is a need for education and outreach. HC3 has brought together staff from every town and the county to determine if it would be a good idea to have a unified message for all education and outreach so that we're communicating the same thing. And all staff felt that that was a good approach. And what that would look like is a memorandum of understanding that we sign with HC3, and we would pay them the same amount of money that we get in our reimbursement payments to do the coordinated education and outreach on the behalf of the town. So that is the first part. The second part, I don't want to go through all of the options because you've heard most of these from HC3 directly. But they've communicated that they put together this proposal of different climate and energy programs that they can be of service to us for. We can mix and match what fits the town in any way. And they tried to include as much information on cost and how that compares to what they do in other towns as well. Stop there.
What is Solarize Summit?
This is Solar Summit. Actually, I'm not entirely sure what this campaign does, but what they would be doing is the marketing for us. I believe this was when they came in to talk about expanding solar panel options in the town, but let me double check on that.
Because they talk about 3 potentially $1,650 rebates, which comes up to the $4,950. And so what the work we would be committing to rebates, providing rebates for people who I assume want to install solar, electrical solar panels.
Yes.
I didn't quite understand it that way. That we would be,
We don't.
Yeah, well, that's what the 4950 is.
I believe it's a joint contribution. So we set aside a certain amount of money that the town pays. And that is the amount that we hold as funds for this program. And HC3 contributes $16.50 for 3 rebate programs.
I'm not sure that's the way I read it. I guess for all of these, it would be helpful to have someone from HC3 explain what the proposal is. Because I certainly don't understand it. I don't know about any of the council members. I could just be dense.
no, because those are my questions.
I have a group of questions on all of these, what we're doing.
I believe this is a brief version, and when they fleshed it out, I don't know that we were ready and we didn't have the comparison of what the other towns were doing. And so I would agree, I would like a refresher or have more details.
And to that effect, I agree with my fellow council members, but I'd also would appreciate to understanding which part of these monies are from the taxpayers. HC3 is funded by tax money. Which part is to access Excel?
HC3 is not fund, they're a nonprofit.
It doesn't get any kind of
Only
the
if
Strong Futures Fund?
they get, I believe they get strong futures funding for the landfill.
So, but that's what I'd like some clarity on. My understanding is they have been I've been to some of their events and they talk about what they've been able to do to educate people, to help them in the process of applying for these rebates, applying for some of these energy audits, as opposed to actually providing them. So I think among the 4 of us, we have enough questions that we would like to know more before proceeding on that one. Although I think the MOA for the shared approach to the CAA, what's that called? Yeah, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
What's the requirement for a community action plan? Is there a requirement for a plan, or is just the communities have just come together?
So in the application to be eligible for reimbursement, which I have already submitted so that we have the option, we have to come up with a plan for how the funds will be allocated. And we've already coordinated
Yeah,
that.
that wasn't really my question.
What are you?
One of the proposals was a community climate action, and that was where all the towns have come together to put a climate action plan together for Summit County. And is there a statutory requirement for that? It's just we've decided, all the communities have decided to come together to do that.
Yeah, this is just an opt-in.
Can I ask a question? When I look at the EPR, it sounds like we can get this money, but then we have to put it to something that it's applicable to.
Yes.
And the only thing that we know of right now is the proposal in front of us.
Correct.
Are
Yes.
there other options?
Now, we could put one.
So we
We
can
can
go.
put it together ourselves, but we'll get only $2,000 a year
Yeah.
from them.
Right.
And it's a substantial effort by staff, right? So
Right.
that's why I feel.
So
this
we
makes
get the
sense.
money, we apply for it, we get it, and then just send it off. And then no administrative work on our part, really.
No,
And there's no other way we could spend that money if we get it.
Right.
Can't go to
not
general
a,
fund.
not a practical way. It has to be spent on education and outreach for recycling programs.
Okay,
You just made
my
a good
perspective is that, I mean, that's a no-brainer there. That's,
Yeah.
as far as the other proposals, I'm not willing today to accept any of those proposals. That's my view.
That's my view too.
Agreed.
Agree.
Can get them back in to share more information.
Yeah, normally when someone submits a proposal, they would provide explanation of exactly what that was versus want to do this for you and here's the cost.
Yeah, this is a follow-up to the presentation they gave in, I think it was August.
And John, Mr. Town Manager.
Yes.
I know we've tried to set up where when nonprofits come to us, we say, oh, no, we're trying to do it through Summit.
This is not one of those, so.
How are they different?
Each individual town, if you like go into their website and see the various programs they have, you'll see that they basically have them broke out by individual towns.
Customized to a town.
Customized.
That's why I can't be in the big fund that the Summit.
Right.
I'm sorry, what's the name of
The Sturge Futures,
Summit Foundation? I guess.
the Summit Foundation, correct.
Yeah, we're basically contracting with them to do this function for the town.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very good point. They are a nonprofit. They do advocate for lots of things, but they also facilitate
Services.
energy assessment and efficiency programs that are funded basically through HC3, and they do receive tax dollars, program-specific tax dollars.
Yeah.
They don't like it X number of dollars for HC3. It's this much for home energy audits.
It's basically contracted
Yeah.
to provide this service.
Yes.
I guess the discussion on class 3 public noticing.
I'll take this one. I had just write this up. Earlier this week, we're going to be discussing class 2 and class 4 applications later this year in a different situation. We have class 3 applications, which are workshops that are non-binding. They're not public hearings. They don't have to be open to public comment. We're actually going to be having a few of these coming up where basically a developer, before he starts investing major money in developing a application-ready packet to submit to planning and building, wants to bounce ideas off the council or the planning commission and get feedback on, they might be looking for an easement for an amendment to the PUD language, zoning change, some issue like that, and they just want to see if it's a feasible idea to even invest the money to go forward with something like that. Well, our code requires that we notice this just like we were noticing a quasi-judicial hearing on something. So we have to send certified notices to all the adjacent properties. We have to publish an ad in the newspaper, and we have to post it on the property. This is for a non-binding, very high-level workshop discussion. I think it's a incredible waste of, it's not required by anything except our code that we adopted from the county. There's no reason we have to do this. And I just want to see the council's idea. We want to lose the notification requirement for class 3 work session reviews.
Ask questions. Would there be any way, to me, this sounds like somebody wants to come in and just kick some ideas around.
Yeah.
That's what this is. So non-committal, we say, yeah, we think that's right. Can they come back at us later and say, wait, you kind of gave me that direction?
No.
Jennifer?
Well, I typically, my advice to bodies who are hearing items in a pre-meeting discussion before an application is filed is to be curious, ask questions, and then to give feedback. But your feedback is always, this is based on what I'm hearing today. It's not a prejudgment of the application. It's just, these are some of the things that we would like to see or that we would like you to consider in the application. It is by no means binding on the future.
That's the question. Is it, can they come back at us and say, you really led me astray here?
I mean, they could, but that doesn't mean that, if you followed all of the procedure and the process for quasi judicial, you're following the criteria and it was ultimately denied. They could make an argument that you led them astray, but if you're following the criteria, applying it appropriately, then the decision should be upheld.
And really what we're asking here is just, we don't want to go through the formalized process of publishing and there's really no other way though that these people would know that this is happening until it becomes more.
Well, it would still be listed in the agenda
It is?
as workshop on
Okay, I didn't
X parcel.
notice that.
We probably didn't even, because it would actually be it would be a workshop item.
They come in and what you're saying is it'd be an agenda item. It would be a work session. It would be part of the agenda where they want to bounce these ideas.
Yep.
So somebody could sit in the audience and listen to that. They're probably not participating.
Yeah.
But they could be listening. Okay, that's really was my question.
And basically the idea is the response from the council on something like that is basically, that sounds like a pretty good idea, put it together and let's see how it plays out with the formal application.
Okay.
You're never going to say, because you can't make a decision, you're never going to say, well, if you add 2 more units of workforce housing, then we're okay with this. No.
Or if you do X, Y, Z, we'll approve it.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't say something like that.
Right, understand.
So it's a conceptual heads up as to what a developer is thinking about.
Yeah.
So I'm flattered that you think we know what class 3 decisions are. Maybe all my colleagues do. I didn't. So I looked it up and it said that it's a process for large scale or complex applications, rezonings, major PUD mods, and preliminary plats. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
How many have we done in the last since we've been in town? I don't remember any.
I noticed one today.
So I'm not sure what we're concerned about when we haven't had any yet. And yet you say there's several coming.
We just noticed one today and we have another one coming up. And
can you, without putting names or locations, what sort of applications are those?
one is for a change of zoning in one of our PUDs.
Okay.
And the other is for, a commercial, basically a variance or a change in zoning on a commercial property.
Okay, so if I were a residential neighbor of that commercial property, it would be up to me to be reviewing all work session agendas if I want to understand what might be considered.
If you want to understand what might be considered at that non-binding workshop.
Understand
This
that.
does not eliminate the need to notice these people when they have a true application going through the process and we have a true public hearing on these types of things.
I guess the distinction is by the time they get to the formal application, it'll be clear to the neighbor that, oh, this has already been considered. They've already gone down the road. And so I'm wondering if you can put a price tag or a cost of this mailing.
Yeah, we're talking a month-long delay.
I thought it was 15 days.
Assuming you get it in the newspaper at the exact moment.
Okay. But this is a delay only on a concept discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's expense and there's.
I was asking what are those expenses?
The notification, and there's also the possibility of misleading someone and making them think that if they show up at this workshop and voice their displeasure about a project, that they have voiced their displeasure about the project. Technically, there is no project until we have a formal application. So what
is the purpose of the conceptual discussion then? And you said you specified either planning and zoning or the council. Which would it
It
be?
depends on who the deciding body is.
Okay, so let's say it's council. And a developer comes in and kicks around these ideas with the council at a workshop, non-binding. But we're just thinking about what's in the realm of the possible. What would be the role of the council during that kick around meeting?
Basically, to say that's not in the realm of the possible, or
Based on what?
The criteria for the application when it is submitted.
Which you would
Well,
already
no,
gone
no.
through.
not entirely, because lots of times these have different aspects of it, special aspects. Rezoning has a different aspect. Let's say I wanted to ask for a rezoning that had 10 units of density and it might meet the criteria, but the council has a hard, fast line like Sutton County used to have about absolutely never developing new density. That's something they can get an idea of before you start to hire the lawyers, put together these complete plans. They want to know if their idea will even be considered, basically is what the council is.
And as a council, are we simply going to look at the specifics but you just said it,
Yeah.
it's beyond the specifics.
There are no specifics because there's no, our
Right.
planner was
So
wrong.
wouldn't one of those aspects be what the community thinks?
And we will, well,
And we have committed loudly
I mean,
and regularly
I
to transparency. So I'm
would
not sure I
say-
understand what the small cost is.
I would say it's not a small cost, and it can be. We had 4 staff members who had to spend 3 or 4 hours stuffing envelopes for a public notice for a different issue. Okay, that is a insane.
What was that one?
Warren Station.
Because, okay.
But that
You
was
think
not.
that should have been?
No, that absolutely should have been, but
Okay.
public notice. This way, under this thing, if they want to talk about it, we have to send out a public notice for this non-binding meeting where the public doesn't have input. And later, we will send them a public notice when there is a decision going to be made. There's no decision going to be made in this first issue. It's, to me, like I said, my big concern is that we're giving the public, when you receive a formal notice of something, you're giving them two preconceived notions. One, that they have a right to say anything, and they don't. In this situation, they would in a public hearing. And 2, that if they say something, it actually matters when there actually is a public hearing. That's when their voice must be heard, must be listened to, and must be considered by the council.
What I would consider that anytime a community member talks to us, they have the right to do that. And we have a responsibility to listen, not necessarily to act on it. So I want to push back on that a little bit.
But I would push back on you nicely, is that I think they still get the kick at the can, which is the second one. I mean, so this is really, it's interesting. I've gone through this. I haven't done a lot of development, but one. And I had this meeting because we were looking at addressing the road. We said, is it even possible that we can address the road here with our building that we're building? And knowing that we still needed to go to Department of Transportation, all that. And I just wanted a heads up that, yeah.
Right.
And if I had to have waited for 30 days with notice and people coming in, that would have put the whole the project on hold for another month, at least. And so I guess I think we're not, I'm very worried about what the councilwoman said, that, you know, we're being honest and open to the community. But I think this was a step we put in, which I think was redundant, that they will have their voice heard. They will be communicated to. And certainly they can listen this first session if they want. Am I saying that correctly?
I believe so, yes.
I have a question. Because I believe we talked about a public comment would still be at a work session if someone is, a resident is looking through a work session agenda and notices that this is coming up, they can still make a public comment.
Generally, we don't take public comments.
We do take
We do.
for every work session.
For any agenda item on a work session, you can speak at, that's what the public comment period is, the beginning of the work session.
And Councilmember Christie Camp, Councilmember Camp, I think that's
But at
the
that
answer.
point,
Yeah.
a community member won't even know what it's really about.
Yeah,
They won't have seen anything. The developer hasn't said what he's thinking about.
It's true.
So there will be really nothing for him to comment about other than a knee jerk that says, they're talking about developing that lot, that area. I don't want that area developed.
But there is the
Which is not-
chance for the comment, and then we take note of the comment, and then we get the presentation. And then we can be aware of the comment is the first point toward being okay with losing the notification for the discussion in the work session.
Yeah.
Am I tracking?
yeah.
And then one other question. Would staff, would you come with information so that we would be able to hear that pitch and know the restrictions? I'm just hearing a little bit of dissent that
It's not really.
I'm curious if.
Yeah, no, you're not making
Not-
a decision. I mean, we'll give you, there might not be that much information. It might literally be a developer, like Dan said, saying, can I build a second, are you fundamentally opposed to a second exit on this?
Fundamentally opposed.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, I just want to be able to answer or to.
Or is it even possible to do this type of thing? This is a very, very high level sketch.
By high level, you just mean conceptual.
Conceptual,
Okay.
yes. This is not digging down into the nitty gritty of a proposal. And
So when it comes, just if you could create a hypothetical similar to the one we will actually face. Developer in a commercial area would like to rezone it to extend the commercial area or what?
I actually have a great example right here.
That would be really helpful.
Let's say we're the applicant on this parcel right here. Okay, I've going to contemplating buying this parcel because I want to build a bunch of affordable housing off the back parking lot. It's not really defined whether it's allowed to build affordable housing on this, given things like deed restrictions such as that. I would come here and I go, what is the council's feeling? Is it if I come forward with a plan proposing that I build this housing as a government service, is this an even possible idea that you would consider? And that's pretty much the question. And hopefully you would say, yes, we would consider the idea that affordable housing here is a government service.
At this conceptual meeting, we would give sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll have to see the actual
Sounds good. Show us the
plans.
details. Yeah.
So I think my concern would be then that we actually capture that in the updates that go out to the, like, whether it's before or after, that's not my point, but to say that we've been approached by this, about this idea. If we can incorporate that into the recaps that we send out, that would be reasonable.
So what you're saying is basically for that agenda item that we send out a recap of council meetings.
Which we don't do it for work sessions. That's my challenge.
I understand what you're saying.
Right.
So afterwards, not.
Yeah.
Right,
before.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So, because I like Councilmember Camp's comment that if they're really paying attention, and I don't think most people read our work session agendas, but
Yep.
some do, they have the opportunity to say, hey, if you're going to look at that, I think you should be considering the impact on the wildlife or whatever. And so we have had the opportunity to think about that. And then when the recap goes out, they'll understand whether they should be paying more attention to this or not. It's just a simple transparency what we have committed to. I understand your concerns about stuffing envelopes.
Yeah, and the key is really that this has to be just
That we're not making decisions.
you're not making decisions. This is just, the idea sounds interesting to me. Put together a proposal and bring it to me.
If you can commit to what I just asked for.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can, is this going to require an ordinance, a resolution?
It does require an ordinance.
Okay.
Can I add just a little bit of color? I have never seen a work session process be codified. So Summit County has their work session process in the code as class 3. I've never seen that before. That is not very common. Typically, it's just an informal process where a developer asks, is this something that your community does? Do they allow this communication with council or with their planning and zoning commission? And can we come talk to them? And so there isn't the whole formal, you need to ask for a work session, class 3, you need to send out the notice. That is not in other codes. So this is very atypical as to what Summit County does.
So would this be, if this particular code didn't exist, and if I were that developer, I might say, hey, John, could you put me on a work session agenda? I just want to kick some ideas around.
Yes, and actually,
And that helps to think of it that way.
to tell the truth, I just brought this up as getting rid of the noticing, but I agree with our attorney. I've never seen a work.
Well, I would be happier to just take it out.
I just assume get rid of class 3.
Right. As
Which
opposed
only
to
deal with workshops.
have it, but
Yeah.
be quiet about it. That
Yeah.
bothers me.
Yeah.
And I do think we have to be careful about what messaging is communicated following the work session in terms of, maybe it's just so-and-so came to us to talk about concept and the council heard.
Agree. Absolutely agree. I mean, you just think as a community member, do you want to be surprised when, oh, I missed that reading that one agenda when it's the final? So it's a small effort to remain true to the values that we identify.
Like in our example, it would be the example I used. The developer talked to the council about possibly building affordable housing units on the Keystone Center property.
Would that be legit, Jennifer? Okay.
And yeah, I mean, how do you feel, Councilmember Kirk? Any thumbs up to just get rid of the work session from?
Yes.
Yes.
Much more comfortable with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that way it's, like our attorney said, this is not something, work sessions are supposed to be a place that's.
We delve into the details, right? Yeah.
So it's back to, let's have a short meeting.
Yeah.
It's just.
But most of this discussion goes on with the Community Development Office, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll only be a few situations where someone is.
Where they didn't like her answer and they said, well, we should go to the council.
Not even that so much. It's just where it's kind of a unique idea.
Yes.
Well, if you're going to spend $10 million, you'll want to kind of, hey, give me a heads up.
Like I'm sure Kindred workshop with the count. Good God, that must have been a ridiculous situation trying to workshop with the county before they put together their incredibly expensive plans.
All right. Appointment of the pro tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, under our charter, we have to, you as a council have to choose a new Mayor Pro Tem in May. So not this meeting,
Based on what?
charter.
It says only 2 years?
Every, yeah,
Every year.
Yeah, I think it was one.
Oh,
yeah. So we
we
haven't.
don't do by resolution. I think it was just a discussion item originally, right?
It's in May, so this was intended just as a heads up that this is going to happen. If anyone is interested in becoming, Dan has indicated that he'd be willing to continue. And if anyone is interested in becoming the mayor pro tem, I guess the question is,
Please let me know, because the report I'll prepare for the May meeting will be different than if we're rubber stamping one individual or if we're choosing between multiple individuals. And I'll reach out to our missing council members. And
so
how would you, as a council, like me to approach this to?
Well, I think you probably need to clarify to our other two council members what we're talking about, so.
and it's just, let them know that we're going to be selecting a pro tem. Dan's willing to continue. But if someone else would like to run to become the pro tem, they're more than welcome to. And we'll go through an election process at the next meeting.
Dan won't be offended.
I was hoping we were going to do an arm wrestling instead of election. It's much more interesting.
So.
Ready for that?
So that was all. I just,
I wonder why there was nothing in the staff report.
3 lines. I figured not worth your time. Financials, Heike couldn't make it today. I understand the question you were asking now earlier about SCTV.
So I don't know what question I was asking. Yes.
Dylan is the fiscal agent for SCTV. So the county and all the towns that participate cut a check to Dylan, who cuts a check to the various vendors as needed.
Well, the note that got my attention was that the dues and subscriptions was way over budget, 378%, quote, due to the town of Dillon payment for SC Telecom Consortium annual dues.
Yeah, it's a payment to the town of Dillon on behalf of SCTV.
So we didn't budget at all. Is that what we're down to?
Correct, yes. We did not budget for SCTV because we didn't discuss SCTV until after we had already passed the budget. But yeah, it's not Dylan isn't making money. It's kind of like the court was paying Silverthorne. Or even our police department, we cut a check to. So financials. Okay. We're down. It was a weird year. Reporting January and February are basic reporting periods that we have for this. Given the mess up of some people to pay their January fees, they had to get an extension. They paid in February. All in all, January and February, our sales tax is down 7%. So approximately $60,000. We have got our March lodging tax mostly in, and it looks like we're going to be down about 20% on March lodging tax. So I'm anticipating a similar type of number for our sales tax. So we're talking another $60,000 to $80,000, possibly. We don't have those numbers yet. So that's putting us about $150,000 behind anticipated revenue for the first 3 months.
For both general and lodging, or?
Closer to 200 when you add our lodging plus. Our lodging was pretty good, January and February. Lodging was down 7% too. So probably close to 200,000 between our lodging tax and our sales tax combined. I would say somewhere around there. We're still in really, really, really good financial shape. To me, this is a bigger red light on how it impacts our businesses. We're not operating with the reserve balances, the fund balances we have. Until we get bids back for our various projects that I'll talk about later, I'm still reaching out for bids on everything we talked about at our last meeting and anticipate we can go forward without any serious issues. Kindred, as we all know, is coming online and their impact was not budgeted for at all. So I anticipate through the summer and beginning of next winter, there's a really good chance that they will offset our first 3-month deficit. It's not really a deficit because we're not spending as much as we bring in anyways yet. But it's something we all saw coming. We all knew it was probably going to happen when there was no snow. And I'm kind of impressed. Vail Resorts, I think I saw today across their mountain resorts was down well over 20% for the season on skier visits. So we're actually doing better than some of the other ski towns, most likely. We were doing better the first couple months than our other Summit County towns were compared to budget. So it's something we're keeping an eye on. Heike and I have modeled some worst case scenario budgets already.
That's what I wanted to ask about. I appreciate that. Maybe you don't want to share the details yet.
We're still with a 20% across the board throughout the entire year reduction on our tax income.
On general and
lodging tax.
Okay.
We're still ending the year with close to a $3 million, about a $2.5 million surplus in the general fund and a minor surplus in the lodging tax fund, $144,000.
So
that also covers the commitment to this building, for example.
Yes. If we spend everything we've budgeted for, which we don't have to do. If, we keep going and the summer is not showing any change in the numbers, but I think these numbers really are driven by what's the worst ski year ever.
yeah, for the big impact will probably be January, February, March,
Yes.
maybe in December.
Yeah.
But that's a smaller.
We did okay last
percent.
December. We were above budget last
Yeah,
December.
we'll need to see what the impact of this perceptions are. But what I wanted to ask is, when you've done your worst case scenario planning, have you anticipated investments like on those bids you're talking about that we might have to drop back on for infrastructure?
Running the numbers, we don't have to, and we're still going to end with a
Okay,
very
you did
healthy.
say balance. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah, so that's without cutting anything. And there is space for cutting things, especially if these projects come in higher than expected, because who the heck knows?
But as I listen to the numbers, it sounds like while we would have still have a healthy general fund at the end of the year of 3 million, we would probably run a negative for the year.
No, slight positive because we budgeted for a large surplus.
What was
Our surplus.
What was our budgeted surplus for this year?
I could pull that up, but it was.
Yeah,
Like
John,
he's-
I can answer that. This is Heike Fox, Finance Director, remote. We budgeted our ending fund balance for this year's budget at just a little over 3 mil. And when we ran numbers recently and decreased revenues for sales tax and a few other things, but kept all the expenditures that we were planning on, plus increased a few line items that we knew were going to be over budget. We're still ending a fund balance with a little over 3.2.
What was the fund balance at the end of the year going to be in the budget?
Well, it was going to be just a little over 3 mil, and now it's basically just a little under 3.3. And the reason for that shift is because
that doesn't make sense. Heike, that doesn't make sense.
Well, listen. The reason for that shift was because we budgeted a beginning fund balance of just a little over 2.9, and our fund balance at the beginning of the year was actually 3.6.
All right.
Oh,
So
that's
our
a big difference.
yeah, our fund balance.
We started with
Yeah.
a greater fund balance, which in return is going to save us for this low snowpack year in the reduction of the sales tax. But we are still going to keep an eye on everything, and if anything takes a turn like for the worse than we're expecting, we'll definitely keep you guys updated.
So we're going to continue to build our fund balance. It's going to be $600,000 to $700,000 less than actuality, not budget, because our budget was an incorrect estimation of our fund balance. But yeah, we're still bringing in, even at a 20% reduction in tax revenue, bringing in more than we're putting out, spending. Yes. By like $100 and some thousand.
I'd like to see the numbers, right, because if you have a 20% reduction, you're talking about a $720,000 reduction in sales tax dollars for the year. And lodging tax, you're talking about a $320,000 lodging tax. And I was just looking at this year, not what the prior balance was. And I think we projected about a $500,000 surplus in general funds for this year.
But when you add that on top of our $700,000.
And I'm talking only this year's, not prior years.
And
Right.
if I can interject, the updated projection that we did was with a 10% reduction in sales tax, not a 20%.
Okay, so it would be a several $100,000
Negative.
deficit.
Yeah. But it doesn't put it, the real point is it doesn't put at jeopardy the general fund and the ability to, we can execute, basically you're saying we can execute the budget this year without jeopardizing the general fund.
Correct. Correct. And there's a reason why I like big fund balance the next 3 years like this. And if we didn't have that big fund balance, we're still not in a worst case scenario because there's room for savings in our budget if necessary. It's not really savings. It's not like we could have saved this and we're spending it, but we could push off a road repair. We could push off things.
Which brings up a timing issue. I mean, if we do them all right up front, then you can't push it off. So are these big capital projects, well, they'll mostly all be in the summer, I guess, right?
Yeah, we'll be seeing in the next month or so what the estimates are from our engineer, which is they're never absolutely correct.
We've learned that.
But we, if, once we get our RFPs, if we feel there's a need to prioritize.
Well, that's when
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we can make a decision like, oh, we're way over in September because we were already committed to all these capital projects.
Yes, and well, if we come in and like I said, kind of worst case scenario and continue January, February, March throughout the end of the year. Our fund balance is still in a very healthy situation. We just made a big miscalculation. And thankfully we were in a position where we can absorb that big miscalculation on what our business climate was going to be this year.
Of course, we're not expecting a ton of revenue then over the down months anyway, so.
Well, we're expecting more because Kindred's coming online.
That's true. That's true.
And that's going to be we've lost Dos Locos, which is not going to be, it's going to be a hit, but nothing that would kill any projects.
Maybe offset by the 3 restaurants in Kindred.
More than offset by the 3 restaurants in Kindred. And then when you add the lodging and just the attraction of people who will be in the village area spending on different things. So it's never good to see numbers like this, that it's never good, but I'm more concerned about our local businesses than I am about our ability to continue to provide the services that are expected and that we've promised.
Appreciate that.
So I hear you asking again for the focus to be how to support our businesses as we talked about last meeting.
Yes.
I have 3 specific questions. The first one you'll probably like. I noted, and I like the way Heike identifies where we're going over on a quarterly basis. So she says we've expended 88.5% of community development communication expenses, which confused me until our last conversation. Was that in relationship to all the expenses in notifying for Warren Station? Where is?
Let me pull that line up here.
I'll tell you what it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, so some of those community development communications, there was one project, Jesse might have to call that one out. I'll have to look that one up, but also for the comp plan, those notices.
Yeah, we did outreach on the comp plan, which was up in that.
So not today, but sometime can you give us an assessment of, or an accounting of how much we ended up paying for that comp plan?
Yeah.
When all is said and done, because it was more than the 100K we anticipated. And I just want to track it. The second thing is, how do you define the 6,200 line item, administration expenses? What's included in that?
What page is that?
Line 6,200.
Yeah, 10, 20, 6,200 administration expense.
Because you called out that was a little bit of a variance. It is on page 26 in the middle of the page. What do we consider administrative expense?
So a lot of the Hirsch retirement party went into that. And then there was and then that's where some of our fees for the nicotine go into.
No, I'm asking generically.
Yeah.
What do we consider as administrative expenses? It's not, I mean, I would have thought that was like mailing, but it's not, because that's a separate line.
Yeah, no, basically it's just kind of anything that doesn't go into the other line items. It's kind of like the catch-all. It's the miscellaneous.
We needed a new coffee pot.
Is that not a capital expense? Okay. Okay. Okay, and then the last question is, what is considered to date under the community engagement line item, which that is 6280, maybe 90, 6290.
So under that community engagement, that's going to be the town cleanup and the 4th of July and the NRO are going to hit that line item.
I'm sorry, town cleanup, 4th of July, which is what I was concerned about. And what else?
NRO concerts.
Ah, yes, okay, got it.
We have town branded tents on the way, so they will be performing under.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm kind of concerned about the,
Could you repeat that?
We have town branded tents, like when the NRO performs at Lakeside, they will be under the town of Keystone tent, and 4th of July will have just a pop-up 10 by 10s.
no, that's a good investment. So the 4th of July, is there a cap for what we're spending on that?
We are going over every cost and keeping it as reasonable as possible. It'll probably be, I wish Gabby were here, but it's somewhere $5,000-6,000.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe a little bit more. We got swag to give the kids in the pie eating contest.
But that will come out of community engagement fund.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I appreciate how I said mine earlier, and I appreciate you getting back to.
I did the same. I appreciate you getting back to me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Ready?
Oh, Alibi, Heike, have we expended all the money we budgeted for the website? I'm sorry, if I were quick, I could look this up, but I know you're really on top of it.
So when you talk about the website, for the website, we have 10,000 for our normal website, and we've expended about half of that. The ADA, a component of that will come in later for the year. Is that what you're asking?
So the new web development is
Okay.
paid for with the 5. We're going to have to pay more for the, what is it you called it? The
ADA.
ADA. And my question is, I know Gabby's looking at developing this visitor piece of our website. Can that come out of this?
If there's money left in that, otherwise it will have to come out of the marketing.
Which will be double tapping, so you and I should talk. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of, we did get the visit keystone.com website.
That costs something, right?
That cost money. We had to pay a premium on it.
Really?
Do you want to share?
$3,000.
32, yeah, that was.
That's a necessary expense, don't you think?
I agree 100%. Yes.
One time, right?
You have to buy it from
One time, and then it'll be a minimal cost to,
Did you have to buy the domain from somebody?
yes.
Yeah, I've seen.
Well, it's one of those people who
Oh, I know.
gobble it up and yeah.
Yeah. So we had to buy it from a private. But we have it.
Just because you got there first.
Which is why Keystone, South Dakota doesn't, because they obviously didn't feel it was worth paying for, and they got visit KeystoneSD.com. So we will probably get 80% of the traffic of people who want to go to Mount Rushmore will visit our website.
Okay,
I'll take it.
thank you.
The questions? All right, thank you. We wanted, since we have a little bit of time, do we want to do some discussion of manager council issues? Town manager, do you want to?
I can give a manager report now. So, yeah, that report. I'll start with our various departments. Our town clerk, Missy, is really coming along well, getting the handle of things.
Just for roll call.
Except for roll call. It really helps having Maddie here to guide and teach too. And Maddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did do the test on the complaint line.
Those are this week,
Oh, they're this week.
Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
Excellent.
Community development, we have talked a lot about it. Say hi, Drew.
Oh, is that who drove that Nelson in?
Yeah. Drew will be starting he's on his way up here this week, and he'll be starting next Monday with us. And boy, yeah, we're looking forward to him. We have a lot of community development complications to work through. Finance, as I discussed, it was kind of a rough March. Our draft audit report was immaculate.
Immaculate.
Yes, technical term. Our money is properly accounted for everywhere. Now, I think I said this before. This is not for you so much as for everyone out there after attending the KNC meeting last year. An audit is not a determination of whether the money was spent well.
Yeah.
It's a determination that the money was spent transparently and in the proper ways to spend money.
Will that audit report come to the council for final
Yes,
review?
yes, it does.
You anticipate-
May 28th meeting, I believe, or whatever that second meeting, May 26th. Public Works. Wow, all sorts of stuff there. We've been working hard with the water district to figure out where our problems are, getting water. Some of our, like this median out here has a broken box somewhere under the road so it doesn't get water at all. How we can keep the trees and grass we have alive until we have a true median solution down the line. Apologize, we figured out we should have had stop signs in the basement. The stop sign on Soda Ridge Road was graffitied.
Oh, you mean we should have a little cash replacement?
And they are ordered, and we will have a cash, and that stop sign on Soda Ridge Road is going to be replaced. I'll get to a whole lot of more public works stuff later when I talk about CDOT, because it's been an interesting 2 weeks with CDOT, a good 2 weeks. Our deputy town manager attended the Colorado City and County Managers Conference with me in Glenwood since our last meeting. And this week she is doing public information officer training with the other PIOs in the county. That will be one of her duties as deputy town manager, to be our PIO. Vacancy, we need to double check that web page and make sure the banner stays on the top of the page. But applications, letters of interest are due May 15th.
For the council?
For the council vacancy. You guys can go out and certainly recruit. 100% acceptable to do that. Interviews are scheduled for May 26th. The school superintendent is making his recommendations Thursday at 4:30 at the board meeting at the administrative center. There is a survey. I know Councilmember Sullivan sent out. I've already taken it. Take it. I don't know.
That's that survey that's been around.
Kind of late.
Yeah.
He's making the decision on Thursday and it closes.
Well, he's
tomorrow.
making a recommendation. And,
Well, they're scheduled to make a decision, I think, May 7th, from what I've read.
yeah.
This is just the district's recommendation to the board.
Yep, and no schools will close next school year. So it's basically a 2 year out. And the latest proposals, the latest scuttlebutt I've heard is that Breck-L is just they're going to get the axe with a $30 million deferred maintenance bill. And then there will probably be a recommendation to close Summit Cove or Frisco.
Is there a chance they'll kick that can down the road?
That will be, they might just kick the can down the road. That would be best case scenario, I think. Even if they did it, it wouldn't happen at the same time as Breck-L. It would be several years out, so it would still be a can kick down the road. Decisions that are made can be changed unless action has been taken. Yeah, that just, well, we've talked about that ad nauseum, but not enough. Cleanup May 30th, 4th of July. It's just not going to happen at Decatur Field. We're moving over to the Lakeside Plaza. Decatur Field just is, it's
Not ready for prime time.
not ready for prime time. And as a town, I don't see us investing money in fixing it unless it's ours. We're not going to fix something that a private developer can come in later. But the 4th of July is going really well. They were really excited to have it over in the plaza, and a lot safer for kids, things like that.
Easier to get equipment and stuff in there.
Yeah. It will be fun. CDOT. Whew, what a week. First of all, for those of you who didn't notice,
Yes, I did notice. But announce it, I'm sorry.
our town limit sign is now down by,
Is it at the town limit?
it kind of is.
Where is it? I missed it.
It's on the same fence post that tells you to turn left to the shooting range and the dump.
Goes at the landfill road.
Yes. Yep. And it's at the top. It looks just fine. They of course did not put on the noise ordinance enforced sign. We've just ordered one ourselves that will go put on the sign down there. I'll give them credit for what they did.
Did we have to pay for them to come back and do
No,
it?
they did that on their own. The median with the turn lane to nowhere, I have no idea how this happened. But CDOT told us that if we want to go ahead and switch it so that it's an exit lane from Antlers Gulch coming up towards Keystone, an acceleration lane. So if you're coming out of Antlers Gulch, West Hills, right now, if you're turning left, there's a turning lane off of Highway 6 that turns into the 6 hole of the golf course, turns to nowhere. We want to move that turning lane to the other side, so it's an acceleration lane out of West Hills and Antlers Gulch.
Big project, isn't it?
And
They will consider it a maintenance project and
Oh my
do not have to go through permitting to do it.
That's a maintenance, that's a big project.
It's a big project, but
The median there is really short. It's not a big median.
it's a 550, they gave us the exact distance that we need. That the lane is pretty long, but it's basically we're not building it's a tight curb with cement.
They'll do that.
And significantly, you're turning right after this. People come up over.
Yeah, well, and the main thing is it's people coming out of that neighborhood will have a lane
Absolutely,
that they
yeah.
can safely get onto Highway 6 coming up
It's a
here.
great move. I'm
It's a good move.
surprised.
And we are not complaining.
And I am just shocked that they don't make us permit it. They don't make us go through their whole permitting process to do what's a pretty significant change in the roadways.
The net effect will be they will move what was a left turn lane to nowhere into, they'll sort of
Yeah,
shove the median over. essentially, right?
exactly.
But the median will still be kind of small.
It's longer. than-
Will they change that?
The length of the median will remain the same. It's just which side of the road is the lane on.
The width, it won't,
No, it'll still be a narrow little,
okay.
no plantings in it, nothing like that. We're not tearing out that whole median, just the turn lane section, rebuild it.
Good news.
Yeah, and that came out of nowhere. That shocked me. We've been working with them closely on the tennis club road, our engineering, designing that intersection for drainage. It's not like our bus stops that we can do with CDOT's knowledge, but not necessarily their cooperation.
Okay.
At the road intersection, we'll need them. And they have $1.5 million in this year's budget for Razor Drive improvements.
Really?
Yep.
And what do they think that's going to be?
That plan would be the widening of the medians up there, the narrowing of the lanes, additional flashing lights. We talked about it 2 years ago almost.
They would be going to the alternative flashing light, which has a 96% compliance rate versus the 85% that's out there now.
Yeah, and you throw that
Bottom line.
in with access, Avis speed cameras.
Yeah. But this was the plan that they came up with two summers ago,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so now they're saying it's back on the drawing board
Yes,
with money.
yes,
Brilliant.
yes. So CDOT has been just
So you expect that to actually get completed this year?
probably not completed, but
Next year.
yeah,
Started?
started.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm really pleased.
Yeah.
So are we.
I want to point out, I took a look at the CDOT presentation that they gave to the BOCC this week, and it had that in it. And this is the first time since I've been involved with Keystone that Keystone has gotten any money earmarked like this for the community.
Yeah.
It never would have happened if we hadn't incorporated.
No, so I'm just happy as heck. Speaking of CDOT, they have started the exit 203. That's the Frisco Summit Drive, the Walmart exit. That's going to be a 2-year project. Next year is going to be the real mess. This year is a bit of a problem for us and our people because with Swan Mountain closed, the place where there will be impact, although it'll be minimized, is on Dam Road. Down as you get out towards Frisco, they're starting an underpass under Summit Drive there. That's how you will get to Whole Foods from by the KFC.
Wow.
Well, we're still in CDOT and Tennis Club Road. Did you talk to them about that on again, off again light?
Yes.
Turn light? Is that in their bailiwick to fix?
It is, and they've been out there working on that.
Okay.
So,
Good.
been working.
Thanks.
And question on, because this came up, someone else, the Montezuma connection to 6.
They are still figuring that out. They've responded.
They responded that.
That it it was not conclusive, the response.
But they didn't say no.
But they didn't say no. So the point is that there is communications and that will be fixed one way or the other this year.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean?
It might be us or them, but one way or the other. It'll be.
And that was already on your list then?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Where am I? Let's see, our deputy manager and I both attended the city and county managers conference in Glenwood 2 weeks ago. I don't know how I walked out of there without having this idea before, but with our 31, when we incorporated, there were 31 different PUDs here. Our zoning is insanely complicated and complex. And I'm in communications with a company that Vail actually uses and in AI to just feed all of our PUDs into the AI and let it split out the commonalities and identify the specific differences so we can move forward with the proper land use code. And I can't believe it took me till
It's great.
2 weeks ago to figure that this is the type of use AI is
Good idea.
designed for. talked to some consultants, and I'm putting together capital improvements and replacement plan for the town. In some ways, it's easy, capital replacement for roads, things we already have, but we also have to consider things we don't have but might want is as a placeholder in the plan moving forward. So I'm met some consultants there who are helping me with rough estimates of, what would it cost to build a playground? What would situations like that be?
So they're talking roads, playground, can you?
Any
anything
infrastructure,
else?
any infrastructure type of things, more sidewalks, pathways, community gardens, things towns have.
Things towns have, I love that.
Let's see, upcoming roads and codes. We will be having road discussions in the very near future here, determining how we accept dedications of roads going forward. We'll be working on all of our codes, planning code, codifying our ordinances, adopting. And here's one, we talked about this last week, our building codes, we are contractually obligated to allow the imposition of the county codes in the town through their building department, building codes.
Yes.
That being said, the fire department actually specifically asked that we adopt our version of the code. We are going to have to mirror the county's code. But we contract with the county to monitor the fire code. The county contracts with our grants authority to the fire department to do it. Fire department would just as soon they get their authority directly from us to enforce fire code issues in the community.
They're willing to take that.
Yes, but at this point, adopting the code means, well, it makes no difference for them. They just feel more comfortable.
Okay.
Since they're responsible to us in the end, they'd rather be directly responsible to us. And we've talked about, and I talked with some various people at the conference about outsourcing our building services like we talked about last week, in which case we need all our own codes anyways. So coming up in the near future, we'll be adopting building, residential, commercial, fire, all the building codes. At this point, we're not going to alter amendments in any way different from what the county has, because that would just create confusion.
No, so the county is amending theirs though.
Yes.
See that in the paper?
Yes, the energy code.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to understand those.
That's something we will talk specifically about. And this is one reason we're kind of rushing it. As long as the county is ours, our building people under the IGA, we have to allow the imposition of their energy code. If we adopt our energy code and we're not exactly sure the date, before July 1st, we can go with the 2021 as opposed to the 2024.
Right.
Currently, the county has 2021. We could leave that on the books as unenforceable while we deal with the county. And when if we move forward.
Because I want to, I believe the council would want to explore some of that and understand it better before if we can impact it.
We have to adopt.
I understand.
Or have, and we have to, an energy code has to be enforced here. I might much rather adopt the 2021 than the 2024 at this time. 2024 is much more stringent and will require, I think, if we want to make it our own, a lot of input and study and thought.
Right.
So that's why I'm going to kind of rush all the building codes through before that July 1st state deadline when we'd have to adopt the 2024.
And all of this is related to last week last time we met, you said you were going to look into some other options
Yep.
or who we might contract with for building codes. And I'm not pinning you to, but anything, but is that still your intent to do that?
Yes.
So that we know what our option?
Yes,
We have options.
and that's, I brought it up under the conference because I talked to,
Okay.
there are a couple people.
You said you were going to do that. Okay. Thank you for doing that.
No problem. We have FERC and Building Hope coming to our next meeting. Not so much for asks as to explain. It's always an ask, but
Yeah.
explain what they're doing in the county and just kind of give reports on where they're at and what's happening with them. And we have some open space and trails committee issues that we'll be bringing in our next meeting, some recommendations. So that's what I've got for my meetings.
Because this is not really official policy kind of thing, you were going to pulse us about attendance at the CML conference.
So I was just.
Okay, start with that to you then.
Yeah, there's actually three things. One, who is going, we would like to know who is planning on attending the CML conference.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 of us. And I know, so, and you need to sign up on your own for that conference because of the way the registration is set up.
Yes.
For the registrations. The other two things that are coming up, we've talked about last time, was Northwest COG's economic update, May 7th. The staff has agreed to help facilitate that. So if you would like to go to that conference, let John or probably, who, John?
Melissa, Missy.
All right. Missy know, and they will pay the registration fee for that. Instead of us having to go in individually and do that. And the other item is the CML District 15 meeting is on June 4th, I believe. You can register for that online, but to pay for the dinner, that has to be paid to the town of Dillon. So again, work with the staff and they could probably cut one check to the town of Dillon for that.
Incidentally, I am gone the first week in June.
But you have a deputy.
I have a deputy, exactly, so. Am I allowed? Running away to the Caribbean.
Thank you.
And that's all I had was just those two items. So we can go through the rest of the any other reports as part of the council meeting tonight. And that's probably better anyway. So with that, if there's not any objections, I will adjourn the work session. See no objections, work session is adjourned and we'll come back at 7 o'clock for the council meeting.